the Change Nation. My name is Ariane, and today I'm going to be talking with Debra Shigley. She is the author of The Go-Getter Girl's Guide. Get what you want in work and in life and look great while you're at it. She is also a journalist. She has an interesting story that we're going to hear all about. So Debra, what a pleasure to welcome you on the show.
Thank you so much.
For the people who don't know you yet, and I promise you, you will know her, tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, after college, I started off in journalism, doing a little bit of local TV, and got my first real job at CNN, and then switched over to magazines shortly thereafter, and went to law school part-time at night while I worked as a sort of fashion editor during the day. And it was sort of during that time period that I was brainstorming about possibly doing a book, and never really thought I would do a book, but it just sort of was sparked by some of my experiences being a fashion editor. And as I watched a lot of my colleagues and peers kind of starting to navigate the work world and seeing how we all were learning at the same time and what we were searching for.
I always find it so interesting because people who eventually do a book, there's always an inkling of an idea. Like everyone has a book in them if they just sort of look around, and I hear the same thing from you.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I don't think I clearly thought I was going to do this kind of book. It had other iterations in my mind when I was developing the concept. But eventually, it all kind of seemed like, oh, this is exactly what I want to write about and feel like I can write about.
So define for us what a go-getter girl is.
A go-getter girl is a woman who is ambitious, smart, savvy, stylish, and is always searching for where she wants to go and how to get there. And I think, there's all different kinds of go-getter girls, and that to me was one of the interesting things in doing the research for the book. It doesn't matter what, career background you are or where you're from, or it's just kind of a sense of confidence, I think, that can come from all different aspects, whether it's your academic background, your professional background. And I think it's a striving for and always trying to figure out how to get where you want to go, but also sort of maintaining a sense of confidence that is not, women, I think a lot of times in the work world get a bad rap for being aggressive or all these things. It's assertiveness and confidence without, being nasty, I think is what I
mean, you're definitely a go-getter girl. Have you always been a go-getter girl? Did you go through some times where you're like, I'm far from feeling this way,
yeah,
life sucks, I'm terrible at my job?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of how I came to writing the book was my own sort of searching. Then you kind of reach a point where you don't know what the next step is. And so, I had an experience that I talk about in the book where I was just kind of like, hey, I don't really want to get another journalism internship. I just want to have fun. I want to do something crazy. So I moved to New York for the summer with a friend, and then I kind of got a little bored with the hostessing, and I was like, okay, well, maybe there's something else I could be doing. And I just sort of maybe I'll write a letter to a woman I admire, and maybe she might give me some advice. And sure enough, she did. And it was one of those sparks that was like, okay, wow, if you just ask people for advice, they might actually give you advice. And now 10 years later, it's still a great mentorship. I think another experience too was just the rude awakening of law school and working full time. I think it really gave me a lot of discipline and pushed me to a level of being able to manage your time and believe in yourself that you can do this that I hadn't experienced before, because I hadn't really pushed myself to take on that challenge.
Do you think someone who's not feeling like a go-getter at all right now, can you get them to the place where they do? Do you think they're born? Do you think they're made? Do you think you read the book, you learn how to become one?
I mean, I hope people will read it and learn how to become one. I think, what I found is that, as much as the tools and strategies, I think a lot of times you have to see someone who maybe you admire, like the power of inspiration, of seeing someone who maybe is like you or hear their story, kind of one thing that when I was doing interviews for the book, I interviewed more people than are actually in the book. Lots of women, dozens and dozens of women, and sometimes you could. As a person wanting to read someone's story, I always wanted to feel a sense of like a little bit of vulnerability, like they were, being honest and truthful. That sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes we all struggle and feel like we're not doing the right thing, and we're not headed in the right direction. And so I hope people will feel connected to other women and see that it is possible.
What I wanted to do is go through a few areas that I find women either struggle in or would like to become different in the workplace. What are a couple of tips that a woman can do, should think about to become more of that go-getter kind of girl?
Well, I think a big one, especially for, when you're just starting out in the work world, it's this whole new environment, is trying to stay away from the sort of catty sort of gossip world. It's really easy to get caught up in, who said what to whom and all these kinds of things. But I think if you want to stay more focused and sort of try to tune out the noise of things that don't necessarily affect, your accomplishments and where you're headed. And it can kind of bring you down if you get sucked into it. It really can waste a lot of your energy and really demoralize you a little bit. And, I think that's definitely something a lot of women in the workplace deal with.
Another tip on the work side?
Well, I think, you have to be bold. A lot of women I've spoken with, they have moments of kind of audacity in their careers where they've, thought up, they have a great idea and they really plan out a proposal and, pitch it and kind of follow their fear in a way. This is what I'm scared of. Wow, I can't really, call up the CEO of the company and say I have this great idea. Well, yeah, you can, and women have done it, and the ones who've actually made that happen are the ones that took that bold step.
Let's talk about relationships.
Relationships, okay.
Tips in relationships to be a go-getter girl, to go get the person you want, or to be in relationship really in a beautiful way.
Yeah. Well, I think it all comes back to confidence. And one thing go-getter girls are not is desperate. And I think if you find yourself, losing your sense of self and chasing and chasing and chasing something that you feel is unattainable and it's not working, then reel it back in and get back in touch with who you are inside and what your priorities and what your values are. And if you follow that, other things will come in line in your life, I think.
What about how women present themselves in the world? Not only clothes, but appearance and the part of them that they want to be seen and visible.
Yeah, it's there is that sort of thing. Sometimes you see a woman walk in the room and she's got that sort of sparkle, and it's really about poise and confidence. I mean, it's not, you don't have to be wearing like the designer clothes. You can be in, jeans and a great t-shirt and a lovely necklace like you are today. It's not about what you're wearing per se. It's about the inner confidence that really will radiate through. Now, of course, there's lots of tips on, how things should fit and all those kinds of things, but those are really things you can just learn. I mean, you can, ask a salesgirl, does this look good on me? And hopefully, if she's being honest, she'll be like, no, maybe your shape is a pear shape. You might look better in like some, an A-line skirt or something like that. So.
And there are plenty of these kind of tips in the book. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come right back and ask some more questions to Debra. Thank you.